An annual plant is one you have to plant every year, where a perennial will come back year after year. There are some shorter lived perennials also that might, come back for 3 to 5 years, and that, like a delphinium, I would say would be a short lived. Um,
Perfect.
there are a few biennials too. A hollyhock is a biennial.
I didn't know.
So you think they come up every year, but it's actually seed from the previous year that comes up,
Oh,
and
wow.
then they alternate.
Cool.
If
Neat.
that-
Yeah.
Here we have in the back here. There's a clematis. I have about 20 of those around here because I really like them. They're very easy care. Um, all my flowers in this bed though tend to want to face west. So street side, they might not look as good because everything wants to face the western sun. So there is a difference between sides. This is a cone flower, and I have some in varying, uh, like some have bloomed earlier. If they're in a spot where they get more sun, like on the other end, where these are probably right at the perfect time. And I have a lot of corabelles. There's different varieties. Um, I believe this one's a grape one, and then there's some other colors in there, and there's some sedums here. Um, and then in front here is some salvias. Um, this is an annual salvia, where this down here is a perennial salvia. And then double petunias are here in front. Um, I have some volunteer petunias, but they seem to grow weird. So I tend to pull a lot of those out. Um, there's a dahlia, a couple of them here. Just getting ready to bloom.
He's hiding. There it is.
They'll be blooming shortly. And them are planted from like a tuber, and you have to dig them up in the fall and plant them again in the spring. So.
And all of these flowers like sun or shade or?
Most of these are sun. The corabelles can be sun to shade, so they're not picky. But most of these are sun. On the other side, I would say is some more shade plants.
Sure.
But the west side is mostly sun. I've got some balloon flowers here. We also have some tall purple ones, but this is like a dwarf white. What's nice about the dwarf sometimes is it doesn't flop over. So, and I like the white. It shows up at night.
Is that an annual or perennial?
That's a perennial. And they tend to reseed. I started out with 3 plants on this side, so they've kind of spread out a little bit. So this is a Joe Pye weed. And that was an experiment that I did here that did not work because it took over the bed and it's very tall. And so I tried to eradicate it, and I still get a few come up. There is a small Joe Pye weed now, which the bees and stuff really like that. And sometimes it's nice to mix up the textures of the leaves, and colors, to add variety. I have a cone flower in the middle here called American Spirit.
That's the red one?
Yes. But also that same plant has that yellow flower on there too.
What?
So there is a lot of different varieties of coneflower. The more recent introductions, they're always changing them.
We are going to select a coneflower that we would cut for the fair to exhibit So we're going to talk about what would be a good flower, what would be a bad choice, and how to know which one to pick. And also how to cut it. We're going to talk about that as well. So, okay, go ahead and show us what's bad, what's good.
Well, it appears that this one is done. It's fat and starting to come apart at the middle, and the leaves are all curled up. And this one here is immature, not quite ready yet. The color isn't quite there. Now this one has a flat center that's not coming apart, and the petals are fairly uniform and spaced apart.
So that's a good example.
So we're going to take that one.
Okay, how long do we take the stem?
Well, I guess you can always cut it shorter later.
Sure, good idea.
So take it longer. I would say like here.
So almost a foot of stem. Or maybe
And I'm
even
gonna
more.
take this leaf off right away because you don't want leaves in water. And
Okay.
we'll trim it up later, but for now we'll take that one and put it
Okay.
in a bucket of water here.
So we have a bucket of water where we're collecting our county fair flowers.
So this one here looks really good too. And sometimes you'll cut one and then later you find flaws. So we're going to take a couple
Okay.
and then we have some choices.
Show us a couple on here that we don't want to take and why. There's one that I see that has like a green sticking up in the middle. Is that good or bad? That one right
You
there.
don't want that.
You don't
You want
want
more of the
that.
flat center like this one.
Okay.
That's showing maturity.
What about the leaf that has the little white spots on it? What does that mean?
A leaf.
Oh no, I'm sorry, the pink. Yes, that right there.
It could be insect damage.
So do
most
we leave
likely.
that one behind?
Yes.
Okay.
He's got a little immaturity or
Oh.
imperfection there too.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I
You know,
wonder
there's-
if like the bugs cause like them to be deformed also.
Sure.
And you're right, this spot on the leaf can even be a
Right. If that leaf is showing,
You could get docked for that.
yes.
You guys are
if
really
it's the
knowledgeable.
only one you've got though, you can pinch that leaf off, to
Right.
groom it.
So petunias are easy to grow. Everybody has them in baskets. You're going to be looking for three things. So you're going to be looking for one that's open, one that's coming, and one that's will come. On this particular thing, you want to spray, so you'll need to cut all the way down here. And this one you'll have to clean up. But the thing about these is you want to look the day of fair because they will change. So you may be able to come to this guy and get this spray. So you're looking for three things on one piece of plant.
So does a spray mean that it has one blooming, one just coming out, and one bud?
No, the spray is the length.
One stem.
One stem.
One stem.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we could go ahead and cut this now.
Sure.
And we'll clean it up when we get out of the garden.
Right. Yeah.
So can you hold it up and just show us then? There it is. Okay.
So the spray's here.
Okay.
This will be cleaned off. This will be cleaned off. And you'll need a smaller
the
container.
vase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Clear glass.
Our garden phlox. Normally I try to buy the kind that are mildew resistant. I see there's some damage in the leaves here. I don't quite know what that is.
You're talking
and-
about the yellow spots
Yes.
where it's kind of
and,
rough.
And one of the things I need to work on is probably making some space in this so I get good airflow.
Sure.
You
Okay.
can have problems with not good airflow.
All right, so we are gonna figure out how to pick which one of these phlox is the best one to select for the fair.
Well, I'm looking at a white one back here, and you probably can't even see it.
We can see it a little bit. Yep.
I think I'm just going to snip it so you can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a lot of stem.
Proportionate to the same of the real size of the
We
head.
can always cut it down later.
So because that one has a big head or a big amount of flower, you're making a longer stem so that it kind of matches.
Right. Well, and then you have
That's beautiful.
something to work with too.
And if you notice this, I'm
It's
just going to
starting to fall
strip these
apart.
for right now. And then we will clean all this up, leave a couple on the top.
So the leaves you took off again so they weren't in the water.
Correct.
Perfect.
That one was falling apart.
So when you say it was falling apart, does that mean it was done flowering?
It's over mature.
Okay.
The flowers are falling
You can
off
shake
of it.
it.
Oh.
This is a little test. As
Good.
beautiful as they are, it's a simple test.
Now, I found this one. It's not as big as that one,
It's all right.
but it's probably the right stage of maturity.
And that's because it has just a few buds. It doesn't have any empty spots.
And it has some that will still open. It's
Okay.
always nice to have some potential on
Okay.
the plant.
So if we look at like this one here, it has a lot of gaps. So would it need to stay home? That one right there?
Yeah, it is different than, you know, that. Yeah, I think it would probably not, unless it was fully blooming there,
Okay.
it would fill in some of that. But yeah, some of these are probably, and again, there's a few that there on the top that are about done, but that one's probably not bad either.
Okay.
Judy
So we're
first.
gonna cut a rose now. How do we pick which one is the best rose?
Well, I'm gonna pick a spray here. Actually, a rose is only supposed to be half open.
Okay.
And they even have ways of trying to keep them from opening, to keep them, like wrap them with toilet paper to keep them from opening further. I've never gone to that extreme. Obviously, these over here are done.
Because
I
they're
need-
brown and wilty.
Right, I need to come back in here and get rid of those. There is a lot of insect damage on this plant also. But if you look at the newest parts of the plant, they do not have that.
They're kind of hiding in the back.
Like here, this one's okay, but if you look down lower,
Oh, sure.
there's a lot of insect damage. There is a spray here in back that I think would work well. Let's see. I'm going to cut it off down here. So if you look at it, there is insect damage on these bottom leaves.
Okay.
And also this bloom I'm going to get rid of. I just wanted the longer stem, so I took it longer.
Okay.
But if I get rid of this insect damage
That one's very
there,
pretty. So a spray again is one stem and you have the different maturity levels of the different flowers on the same stem.
right. There is a stem in the middle here. I will have to clean that up.
Okay.
You see that little brown stem?
Oh, that little short. Yes.
Yeah, I want to get rid of that.
Okay.
And, oh, there is a deformity maybe in this leaf. I might have to do something with that.
Okay,
we
but
can
for
do
now
that.
we'll put him in the water and we'll clean him up.
Right.
So tell us about the balloon flower. Annual or perennial?
Perennial.
Okay, and it's the purple one that we're looking at.
Right. It probably would have been best to stake this up, like, or tie a string around it.
Sure.
It's kind of spread apart. But we have a really good stem right here. As you can see, there's just a couple that are done blooming on here. We're not going to cut it today.
Because
But-
it still has lots of buds, right?
Right.
So it's not ready for fair right now. But what makes it a good potential fair flower?
Well, it has some flowers that are open, some that are, like halfway there,
Okay.
and then some that are all the way open. You would have to clean up these. There's 2 blooms on here that are done, and you would try to discreetly get rid of those.
Sure. And
One
then
thing,
you would put that in a vase that would. How far down would you cut it, and how much would you clean off, and how much would you leave?
I would leave all of it.
Okay.
So you'd have to cut it almost to the ground to support
Yeah.
all that weight. It's heavy, and I can see why it's falling over. One thing I like about the balloon flowers is you can snap
Uh huh.
the flowers. It doesn't hurt them. You probably wouldn't want to show it after that, but it's kind of a fun thing to do with kids.
Sure. So don't snap them open to exhibit it at the fair, but it's just a neat little trick, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now we're going to try and find Snapdragon. We have to have 3 that are very similar. And this is where Judy has her Snapdragons planted. And we are looking for 3 that are, what's most important? Uniform in maturity?
With the Snapdragon, you want a third being open flower, which would start at the bottom,
Okay.
and then a third showing color, and then a third of closed.
Buds.
Right. So this
Okay.
one is a pretty good example.
Which is good, except we need 3 of him.
Right.
Okay.
And,
So do we cross colors, or because there are some yellows?
at this point, I can see 2 good white ones. This is a good white one,
Okay.
but that third one is usually kind of elusive. It seems like it's easy to find 2, but hard to find 3.
Sure.
So in this case, I don't know what we want to do.
Do we go with yellow instead? Or would it be acceptable to pick 3 different colors, or is it best to match the color?
If you can, you should try and match the colors.
Okay.
It fits in with the uniformity.
Sure.
But if you can't, I don't know that you should necessarily leave it home.
Sure. So if you've got 3 and they're, even if they're different colors, if they are the right maturity, it's still acceptable to bring them that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go ahead and do these 2 white ones.
And we are picking 3 because the show book says that we have to exhibit 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm taking quite a bit of stem. Like I said, you can always trim it up later. You won't want any leaves in water. We'll trim the lower leaves off.
Okay.
One of the things I'll look at too is if there's leaf damage, if there's holes in the leaves and stuff, and these look pretty good.
Okay. So we're going to talk about geraniums now. We're just going to talk about what it would look like if you did take this to fair, but we're not actually going to cut one because we got a full basket of flowers.
So there's 3 geraniums here. And looking at them, this particular head is too far gone, probably. I mean, you would trim that. If you were taking a plant, you would take this one off or clean it up before you would take that.
Tip it this way so we can kind of see the, there we go. Yeah.
I believe it got rained on, and then it kind of turns brown like that. It kind of mats together in the middle.
Okay.
But now these blooms are nice. I guess you need to go in and trim up what doesn't look good. And there's a lot coming you can see on these plants.
So if you were to cut one, it's just one stem.
What is the clarification?
We could look. Maybe.
And mostly it's growing as a potted plant. Maybe they'd be more apt to bring a potted
Oh,
plant.
so you could bring your whole plant.
Yes.
Sure. Okay.
I was looking, this vinca is blooming in here.
Oh, he's hiding. Yeah.
And normally this doesn't bloom. I mean, it's growing for its foliage, but
Right.
there's a little bloom there.
Would be easy to cut for fair. A lot of people grow those in their baskets. It is an annual, but this is a good example of a long spray. When you're looking for a spray, you have several to pick from.
Okay.
And this annual right here is called.
Verbena.
That's what this is.
I'm stuck.
There you go. It's an annual. It'd be nice to pick.
How would you pick that?
I think you would do one stem, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would think one stem.
Right here, one stem.
Okay. Cool.
This is a shady garden, and even though it's shady, she has some little areas of sun, so you'll see the coneflowers down there.
And sedums down here.
And sedums down here. So what you want to do, or what we all want to show you, is when you pick a hosta leaf, you want 3 leaves that are of similar size. So I brought my tape measure, and like Judy said earlier, you know, you're going to find 2 right away that might be close, and finding the third that is uniform might be the hard part. So when you look for your plant, you know, possibly this has a little bit of damage on it. I don't know if you can see this. I'm guessing wind, hail, sticks. You don't want that.
That's the little pokey spots.
Little pokey spots. Here's another pokey spot, pokey spot. But you're going to, like, this is not bad. Jump in, girls. What do
And
you
it looks
see?
like there's lots of varieties, and so you want to pick the
Correct.
same variety
Right,
of
like
leaf.
3 blues, 3 greens, 3 white trimmed hosta. Maybe those would be a better. And this is considered a ribbon, and you can take the flower to the hosta if you would like. If you can find 3 like this leaf right here that match 7 inches across, this is a good example
7 is good because it's bigger
Well,
of
Or-
this variety.
of that variety.
So you want 3 that are that look like that. That's a good example.
as close to that as possible.
Right.
Okay.
This one's got a cut on it. This one's got a cut on it. And the reason I say that is that's probably the maturity of that plant, where this one is a little immature. That leaf isn't as
Oh.
wide.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's going to be the width of this plant. Let's see, this is too young. This is too young. It's pretty.
There's some more down the way that might even be the same variety.
And perennials.
Okay. So this is a different variety of hosta,
Right.
and all of the hostas are shade perennials.
Most.
Most.
Some can be sun.
Oh. Okay.
Most are shade. Yeah.
A lot of plants are breeding to be sun or shade. You have to really look at your tags. That's one thing we should talk about too.
Oh.
When you buy
Sure.
a plant, make sure you get that tag so you know what you have.
So this hosta is a little bit smaller, and those leaves you were measuring at more like 5, you said?
5.5. Yeah.
And that's the biggest leaf or the most mature leaf on the plant.
And it appeared that there would be another one, but they're all. There's 5. They're all 5s. See, so.
So
just
do you
have
pick
to-
3 5s?
3 5s?
Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah.
You know,
There's
the
a
judge
5.
isn't necessarily going to know that.
There's a 5. Okay, but this has got a little mark on it. It's
That one's a little
close.
easier to find.
Yeah. So there'd maybe you cut 3 or 4 of those, lay them all on top of each other, and you'll see what's pretty close in size.
Okay.
It's too small. So that was one.
So we're looking at a hydrangea. A hydrangea is what?
Pretty.
A perennial.
Yep.
And do they like shade or sun?
Sun, I would say. They can do some shade.
I
What do you say?
I think they like some
Okay.
shade.
Okay.
Kind of a mix.
They do not like the afternoon sun.
Okay.
More morning sun would be, and even I found that like if you have it up against a white house, the reflection transmits more light, maybe
More heat.
more
Okay.
light.
Okay.
It does best, I think, on an east side of a house rather than the west, and maybe north rather than south.
Okay.
Okay.
So it can take some sun, but
So part-
mostly morning sun.
All right. So if we were to pick one of these, how would we pick which one to do?
Well, you can see in these, this of course is not mature. It's compared to
Little
those
and
two.
yellow.
You want them buds to coming out. This one here is probably, this one maybe is even a little far gone. Maybe he's drying up already. This one, you know, the petals are all complete.
Is it because it's very full without any gaps?
Yep.
That's a nice one.
Yes, this one here. And again, because of that size of that head, we're going to take it down quite a ways. So we want a long stem on it,
Okay.
proportionate to the size of the bloom.
And then we'd take it back and we would clean off the stems
Yep, we're
and
going to clean off these leaves. This one, unfortunately, that leaf, if you can see it, is cut off.
Oh,
so
yep.
we have to pull him. This one has some bug damage. We might even have to clip it. So
And if you're gonna clip that one, you're gonna clip the one on the other side too.
the
So-
one beside it. Okay.
Right.
Yep. And then this top one again has a bug hole too. So maybe, as beautiful as that flower is, it maybe is not going to be the best because of the leaf damage.
so you have to look at the flower and the leaves
Yep.
when you're making a determination.
Yep.